Right.
All right. Quite a start for the day. We have been able to find and fix quirks in the system. So that was always fun, right? When it's mic on stage, it's different. But when it's virtual, it's more fun. Thank you for those who are joining us here, and welcome to the first topic and segment that we're going to walk through. This is going to be very interesting in terms of what we are actually doing. And let me introduce the speakers here, and I will let them tell the story themselves. So to start off with this particular segment, we are going to have Mukta Pandit, President of Safal Partners. We're joined by Katie Adams, Director of Special Projects for Safal Partners, Leah, Head of Cyber Programs and Partnerships at CFF, and especially dedicated to Mukta's team. Of course, we are all a team for the program that Mukta is going to talk about. And as as they share this program with you, next we will move on to a little bit more broader discussion, and I'll be joined by Tom Patterson, our good friend for many years, and the champion of cyber capacity. Then we'll have Chandana Mahadeswara from LaGuardia Community College, a great partner for several years now, and Dr. Nasir Memon, bandwidth permitted, is going to join back in again, and esteemed professor at NYU, a great supporter of this program, has been actively working with us for many years. So without further ado, 9:05, I'm going to hand it over to Mukta for your presentation. Welcome, Mukta, and great to have you online.
Great, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Val, for that wonderful introduction. We are so excited to be live here at the CFF Summit. And I know we were part of the summit last year in Davos, so this is a very different setting, but we made a lot of progress since then. So hopefully we have more sort of content and exciting initiatives for you all to benefit from. So just a quick background on me before I launch into the program. I'm Mukta Pandit, lead Safal. We are essentially an education and workforce development consulting firm, founded Safal about 10 years ago. Before that, I was with McKinsey for several years and the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation for several years. Have been working with Val and CFF for what seems like ages, but it has only been a few months, probably a year. And just super excited to be talking about this apprenticeship program that we are launching in close partnership with CFF. So the aim of the session today is really give you a concrete sort of program and a concrete solution to address the cybersecurity talent and skills shortage. The data on the cybersecurity talent and skills shortage is not new to any of you. I'm sure we can pull lots and lots of different stats like this, and I'm sure some of these have evolved with the pandemic, and certainly demand in some areas has gone down and some areas has gone up. But the bottom line is there's definitely still a growing demand for skilled cybersecurity talent, and there's definitely still a skills shortage in the areas that you need it the most. So what can you actually do about it? And one of the things that we are super excited to announce is the fact that we now just recently, less than a couple of weeks ago, we are the recipient from the U.S. Department of Labor National Apprenticeship Program as the intermediary, particularly focused on cybersecurity. So DOL, as you may know, has had a focus on apprenticeships for a while. It's a proven model in terms of talent development. It is not a very commonly adopted or used model in cyber and tech in general. So we are one of the 13 or 11 sort of intermediaries that were selected for a 5-year grant, and we are the only ones that are solely focused on cyber. And of course, we are doing that in partnership with our good friends at CFF. So what that does in terms of what it means for you is, when would you think about us? So if you have any need to sort of hire for cybersecurity positions, or if you have any current incumbent employees that you would like to upskill, so it doesn't have to be new hires, it could also be reskilling your current talent pool. If you're trying to sort of better align the skill base of your pool, or if you're trying to diversify your talent pool. We all know, like, for example, in terms of the representation of women in cyber, the representation of minorities in cyber, if you have a need to sort of diversify your cybersecurity talent pool, all of those are questions for which we can help you craft an answer. And the advantage with the DOL grant is that, our cost structure, our team structure is already sort of paid. So a lot of that is really, our time is really focused on building a program that is very, very aligned to the industry and very, very focused on meeting industry needs. So in terms of what we can provide you, given this DOL contract that is giving a huge sort of jumpstart to our program, is technical assistance, of course, but also recruitment and screening services for program candidates. We will be working very closely with CFF in building sort of a talent pipeline for individuals who want to enter in cyber, making sure it's a diverse talent pool. We can also help with screening candidates that you may already have at your different companies that you would like to have them be more upskilled. We will be providing a certain level of sort of instruction, both in cybersecurity, but then also in employability skills, more of those 21st century skills as well. And and we are very aware that with cyber, I mean, it's a very different skill set for different occupations, right? So it's not a one size fits all, like we provide a program and we expect all employers to sort of pick that up. We will provide a base foundation, but then in terms of sort of more advanced customized training, that is something that we work with in partnership with each employer in terms of where their needs are. We are also providing a lot of sort of apprentice mentoring, both sort of as part of the program and as well as through some of the larger networks that CFF has set up in terms of being able to bring industry experts and have them address the upcoming talent. And we also have ability to provide some initial incentive funding to employers to help offset any initial cost or apply that towards specialized training that they may want individuals to have. And so next slide, Katie. So in terms of just summarizing what this apprenticeship model is, really there are 5 things that I would like you to remember. One, it's completely driven by employers. It's employer-driven talent development strategy, right? So our fundamental question that we're answering is, how do we support employers in developing their talent? It already includes an on-the-job training component, right? So there is a component of the program, the way it is delivered, that includes related instruction, but it also includes on-the-job training provided by the employer. And this can be virtual, doesn't have to be in person. It also includes industry validated related instruction. And the industry validated is really key there because we are trying very hard to make sure that the content that we provide, we don't have a set sort of content that we are trying to scale up, right? We are pretty much looking at, okay, let's be very, very fluid, very, very dynamic in terms of the industry is changing, needs are changing, depending on how things change, what is the instruction that's most relevant at this point, and make sure we can either deliver or partner with organizations who can help deliver that instruction. But there's definitely a related instruction component of the model. There's also this concept of you bring folks in at maybe slightly below market, right? And then you enable them to progress as they demonstrate competence and demonstrate skills. So one of the advantages of that kind of program is both it lets you have a broader, more diversity in your talent pool, and it has also been shown to allow for a lot better retention. And then last, we would also want to make sure that as they graduate from the program, there is some kind of a national credential certification that they are being provided. And we are in partnership with CFF trying to develop something that's actually much more industry validated, almost like a CFF seal of approval, instead of sort of one of the existing standard exams or certifications. I mean, of course, they can take those as well, but we're also trying to build something that is very, very targeted and driven by this group. And with that, I'm going to introduce you guys to Katie, who is actually leading the development of the apprenticeship program at SAFL, to talk a little bit about, go a little bit more in detail.
Thank you, Mukta. We are really excited to be kicking off this program. It's important to note that there are only 12 of these designations nationwide by the U.S. Department of Labor. SAFL has been recognized as the national industry intermediary for cybersecurity, and the entire focus of this work is to directly help employers build and not necessarily have to buy a stronger talent pipeline. Apprenticeship is often thought of as a model used only for skilled trades, but it's actually a proven model that can be used in any occupation. And it is our role that we've received funding and support from the U.S. Department of Labor to adapt this model to meet employers' specific occupational needs, which Leah is going to touch on in just a moment. It's important to know that because apprenticeship has been a proven model for literally in some countries centuries, and within this country with a little less than 100 years old, we do have data both nationally and internationally about the proven benefits of utilizing an apprenticeship model. Again, it's a structured model of workforce development, unlike maybe internships or co-ops where there are varying levels of structure and intentionality. And apprenticeship, as it's employed in programs that we can custom build for you, have been proven through data to lower turnover and recruitment costs, which also lowers associated onboarding costs. Apprentices, as Mukta mentioned, are brought in at a lower pay point, recognizing that they will be doing some on-the-job learning and completing related instruction. But at the same time, they are expected to contribute to a company's bottom line from day one. And apprentices do generate a strongly positive ROI for the investment the company is making. Apprenticeship has also been demonstrated to increase overall productivity, and certainly has been demonstrated to create a more diverse workforce, because there are a lot more resources that we're able to engage across workforce systems at the state, local, and regional level to expand your talent pool. In this program, I'm going to let Leah speak to our initial occupations. It's important to know that this model is something that we are ready to move to market with you quickly to meet any of your most in-demand occupational needs. And Leah, I'm going to turn this to you, and you can talk just a little bit about the initial occupations, and then how folks can engage with us.
Great, thank you, Katie. So as we look at also the companies out there and obviously all the threats and attacks that are happening and going to continue to happen, unfortunately, and with the vendors and their tools and technologies and advancements that they're making, it's really important that the skill sets that are needed for managing all of that from technology and accommodating to ensure that companies are most secure and prepared when a threat or attack occurs. So initially looking at where we can help to train, upskill in the areas for red team operators, for analysts, incident response, and also for audits and risk assessments. And of course, much, much more that we will be rolling out as part of the overall curriculum and training and working collaboratively with the industry and the needs of the employers. So how to partner with us. If there's a lot of interest out there we know already. And what that looks like to engage with us. Number one, we really do work closely with you as the employer or other organization where you have the needs and the current occupational needs specifically. So we are in close collaboration in building out the right type of curriculum and training that serves your organization the best. And then where it is also important on the recruiting and onboarding. And we will be helping to find new hires as well as identify any other incumbents, especially for upskilling and providing the program orientation too. We will also have a mentored training program where they begin the on-the-job training and related instruction, and it's under the supervision of the trained mentors. And that's all also part of the curriculum that we work very closely with you on to establish. And then lastly is this certification, making sure that the folks that go through the program, that they complete it, they earn a certificate or more and are recognized throughout the industry with that credential and certification. So how can you contact us today? Here's the information here. Of course, all of us on this panel you can reach out to, but we're very excited about this opportunity and we hope to engage with you more throughout the summit and post as we get working on this big initiative.
Okay. Thanks again, Val, for giving us an opportunity to give an overview, and I'm going to turn it over to you to kick us off for our broader discussion.
Of course, and then thank you, Mukta. Thanks, Katie and Leah for jumping on this very important topic. We have been at it for a while, as you can imagine, for the last several years. And think about the work that we have done in the last 3 or now 5 years. And that being asked, that's been probably exactly what the Department of Labor asked. So really, really glad that it's all coming together. Well, I can't wait to jump on to support you and the work that you and Katie and Leah are taking up with my friends here, Tom, Nasir, and Chandana. Welcome you to join the discussion here. I think we have had many of these discussions before, and finally we found a team that can, take it home for us. So I would probably just quickly start with a little bit of intro of yourself. I mean, 3 of you have been part of this CFF community for so long. I think very well known, but the community is also increasing and expanding. So Tom,
Thanks,
why don't you
Val.
start with a quick introduction from
you? As you know, I'm thrilled to be a part of everything that CFF is doing.
Somebody has to say unmute. You're on mute.
I'm not. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear Tom. He's not unmuted.
All right. So anyway, I've been a part of CFF for a long time, and I'm a huge supporter of things that are going on. I was thrilled to hear the progress of several partners here. I remember this being a germ of an idea in some of the earlier discussions in the hallways and things, and to see this team really coming together. There's a lot of good ideas in the world, and people say, yeah, someone should do that. Why does somebody do that? And this team, and I know you bet, but your passion for this and your drive and your energy, and you've taken what you've done so far and you've poured it into this. It's really thrilling to see, because it will make a difference. A lifelong security guy, since 9/11, really focused on critical infrastructure protection, and that continues to be my focus through my work now with the White House's National Cyber Moonshot efforts. And as you know, we just had our cyber education workshop, which a number of you participated in, and we really appreciate that, to try and look forward how we're going to end this decade as opposed to how we're beginning. We need to be able to end this decade in a way that is much better than the way we started it, and that's what the Moonshot's really all about. And just a note on apprenticeship, I spent a lot of my formative years in the Middle East, where apprenticeship is the norm. And as you get older and more senior, it is your right and your responsibility to have apprentices and to show them and to teach them the way and Sure, in Damascus and the Grand Souk, it's about tin work and how to do this. But it is, as you said, a proven concept, time-tested concept through the centuries throughout humanity and around the world. This will work. It will not be easy. You put up your list of different specialties, and you see cyber forensics, and anyone that's done a cyber forensics things knows that one wrong move, you press the one wrong button, or you pull one plug the wrong sequence, you've ruined everything. So it's going to absolutely be a process to go through. But when you solve it, when this is solved for America and the world, it's really going to change the dynamic. So I'm thrilled to be part of this this talk, and look forward to helping where I can.
Thank you, Tom, for your support. This continues to be building on what we have done so far. So thank you so much. So next, let me welcome Nasir to this discussion. Another great supporter of the CFF work, and a great brain trust for us to lean on. Nasir, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Val, and it's really an honor to be part of this panel with Tom and Chandana, and I've really admired what you and CFF has done over the last few years, and hope to continue participating in it. And yeah, so this apprenticeship program is really exciting. I mean, in academia, I come from New York University and been working on cybersecurity for almost 20 years. Started a program almost 20 years back, right before it was considered important, and we kind of sometimes kind of wander away, if you will, from industry needs because we focus a lot on core science and engineering, and that is needed, right? But then sometimes we tend to wander away and then maybe do things that industry may not find immediately relevant, right? And so that immediacy part of it, of what people need in a job, in a role, right, needs industry input. And I look forward to working with Mukta and CFF to see how we can do that, because I think we bring another side to the whole thing, right? In the sense that while training an apprenticeship may provide knowledge and which is needed, I'm not trying to say, hey, this about specific roles and specific tasks and specific tools. In the long run, we want also our workforce to think like scientists and engineers, right? We want them to be able to solve problems, not simply participate in a role, right? And that deeper thinking comes with a solid, with the ability to think like an engineer, and engineers are founded on science, right? So I think this is a great opportunity where all the pieces are being kind of put together, right from industry skills required in specific roles, to be able to think like scientists and engineers, right? And so I'm happy to play whatever role I can to bring another dimension to this whole sort of project.
Excellent. Thank you, Nasir. Thanks for your wise guidance and also support for the work that we're doing. Next, I want to move to Chandana, who represents a very, very critical community in this particular space, and the LaGuardia Community College, with her role there. And I have in fact learned a lot from Chandana and our previous colleague and former colleague Seema together. We got introduced through a kind of a very happenstance way, but I think we found the right partners to learn from as to how to engage community. So Chandana, welcome to the program. A little bit of your background and your intro, please.
Great. Thank you so much, Val. Thank you to you and CFF for having me on this panel. I'm honored to be a part of this with this amazing panel here. I work at LaGuardia Community College, and my primary role is I oversee tech training programs, particularly cybersecurity. And as Val was mentioning, we are kind of the intermediary between Mukta was so happy to, and Katie, so happy to hear about your project and the apprenticeship, because that's kind of where we are trying to move towards, is really skill-based experiential learning training, which we think is really more impactful for this community and the students we are trying to pipeline into cybersecurity career pathways, as well as incumbent workers that you were talking about. And we are located, just to give you a context, we are located in Queens, in New York City. And this community, as you know, New York City has been hit really hard because of COVID-19. There is a lot of unemployment, and especially the community that we serve here. And even prior to this, our community is really underrepresented and underemployed, and that is only magnified with the current crisis. So we are really trying to scale and engage and create a talent development pipeline, so we can work with our employer partners here in New York City and everywhere to serve this community. And just the way we set up our programs is, again, Mukta and you were talking about this, Katie. It's really, really great to hear. Is we engage with our industry partners when we set up the program. So the employers are part of the curriculum process. They help us build the curriculum so that it's current, on trend, and really is training them on skills as well as the employability. And then they are also throughout the training programs. So coaching our students, mentoring our students, providing experiential learning opportunities that can range from guest lecturing to tabletop learnings. That was when we were actually live and we could do things in person. Right now we have been trying to be more innovative and try to find other ways of bringing experiential learning opportunities online to the students, be it virtual labs or other virtual ways we can connect our students, because we think that is the critical component, is to really have them engaged with the industry. And then the goal is, at the end of the training programs, our partners who signed on and said, yes, we'll be there, will actually hire or at least provide internship opportunities as a start for our students who were part of this program. So the key is to engage within the industry for us while building the program, designing the program, implementing the program, and post training, and just kind of continue to do that. And also ensuring that our training is really industry facing, so having practitioners in the field actually become the instructors. So the same partners that we work with could also turn around and be our instructors. And that's another way of engaging with the industry. So really the continuum of from the beginning to the end, having that industry engagement. One thing we have done right now is expand and in how we are perceiving education, cybersecurity education, and we have gone beyond typically a non-credit to credit to K through 12. So now we are working with our New York City schools to help them build cybersecurity trainings, because it starts early and it's very critical even before, let's say, they go into higher education or they decide to do certifications and enter the field at entry level. So we are beginning to expand and look further back beyond the higher education framework. And we work, Nasir has been a great, also everybody on this panel has been a great supporter, but Nasir and I keep touch, and we connect and talk about how we could engage and how we could connect also from one higher education to another, and how we could work together to be more impactful for the people that we serve here. And one final thing is that, again, the community we serve is, we are looking at, when we piloted the first training program where we were funded by a New York City EDC, which is the Economic Development Corporation, we had 80% of women and more than 90% people of color. And that's the kind of community that's coming in. And we were really surprised. A lot of these people had really, educational backgrounds, but just couldn't get a foothold into the industry or find their career pathway. So that's kind of where we are leaning towards and where we're working towards, and just trying to scale what we do currently.
Thank you, Chandana. I think that's a real world view of what we should be tuned into, right? I think the traditional industry has gone on to hire from colleges, which have really tried to scale up. And Nasir, I know you've been doing a great work, and so many other friends of ours who have been trying to ramp up. But there is a machinery that it's like changing the direction of Queen Mary's ship, and it's trying to hit something, and it's hard. So along with that, we have to have a frigate and boards and all that. I think getting directly connected to the community, as you represented, like 80% of women who are interested in cyber, and 90% of women of people in color. So that is a stated goal for this program. I think Mukta and Katie probably agree with that. That is one of the stated goals of this program, to increase the inclusivity and the diversity of the program, and the representation in the cyber workforce. So thank you for that further opening statement. I want to spend the next 10-15 minutes for us to kind of go over a couple of things that, in fact, Mukta and I have been on calls with industry partners who have shared their areas of interest, but also shared what we have had challenges, what they had challenges with to deal with, right? One of the things is where is cyber capacity development today, right? So the current state of cyber capacity and the role of the cyber industry in shaping it. Do we need more talent? Do we need more automation? That's always a question that leaders have to answer in the industry when you have to make a decision, right? We bring automation in, which is inevitable. We have to we have to include automation in our plan, and that is how we can get cyber capacity. So the way we have distributed this cyber capacity issue is supporting automation and talent together. And let's go around the table on that, and then how can we fill the gap? I mean, what are the risks and considerations probably that we have to take into account when we solve this problem as leaders, and so that the team that Mukta is leading and we are supporting can be well informed. So I'll start with Tom, with you just coming off this Cyber Moonshot workshop. I mean, phenomenal, one of the best that I've ever been. Was the number of people that joined and the number of people that exited was, it's typically, it tapers down, but the constant engagement, and many of them actually are joining this summit as speakers and attendees. So a little bit of readout and also the call to actions that you got from the workshop, Tom. It would be great to hear from you.
Thanks, Val. The National Cyber Moonshot did have its workshop on cyber education this last month, or earlier this month, I guess. Since time is different these days, but you're right. One of the things that struck me as well was that we didn't lose anybody. We actually gained people throughout the day, but everybody stayed with us for a 2-day workshop just focused on this. And this was invitation only. We went after experts from across the board, trying to get all categories represented by really clever people that are passionate about finding a solution. So we didn't waste time on sort of the normal stuff of, yes, we need more money, we need to train the teachers. Everybody knows that. All the stuff we know we didn't spend time there. That's not what the Moonshot's about. It's about really what are these breakthrough ideas that have to come and where do they get supported. So we were thrilled to highlight what's going on at LaGuardia Community College, and we were thrilled to highlight, what Mutka's just done with bringing in the Department of Labor effort around apprenticeship. There are a lot of those kind of ideas. We talk about, cyber education in terms of K through gray. We have to tap all those industries. So in terms of a readout, Val, some of the things that were really strongly echoed in all of our breakouts. And we had over 100 people involved, and each one an expert in their own way, weighing in over these 2 days. But one of the recurring things was, start younger. We talk about starting young, and then everybody said, yeah, that's not young enough. And we had experts talk about here, no here, no here, no here, and working it down and down and down. But you clearly don't want to throw a PDF at a kindergartner. But we can start to train kindergartners on cyber, and we must. And we need to grow this new crop of people that are going to run the world in just 20 years. So starting younger was definitely one. Being specific was another thing. There's a general thing of we need more cyber talent. Cyber is a sci-fi word that's sort of generally thrown against the wall, and it's everything that from playing a game on a console to writing code. So there isn't a cyber specific, and we heard a lot of frustration. We had students that came on and were part of our panel and said, look, I've been applying for cyber jobs left to right. No one will hire me. I'm a smart young kid and I want to be in this field. How come no one will give me lots of money? You talk about these 6-figure jobs and everything's exciting and saving the world from hackers. I want to do that. But there isn't a cyber job per se. And so getting really specific, we had a panel of AI CEOs that said, look, we don't need cyber. We don't know what cyber is. We need math. Teach math skills. The smart math prodigies from elementary school and junior high school and high school. These are the kids that we want to bring into the mix. If they've got math, so that works for AI. That's completely different from someone that we need in an ops center that needs to be able to know code and know how programs work and know what to do when this happens and that happens. So that specificity was a key readout. Another one was we heard from the Aspen Institute about a program, which I'm proud to say, where I work, Unisys. Unisys is signed on to, and along with, I think, over 100 other companies so far, but everyone can do. It costs nothing. It helps you bring in much more talent and better fill your needs, shorten the time to hiring. It's a great program. It costs zero, and no one ever thought of it. And what we've done, or what Aspen has done, is they've gotten companies to agree to go to a blank sheet of paper for their job rec. Instead of taking the job rec that was there yesterday and the day before that and the year before that, and going back to the days of COBOL and mainframes for some companies, and just adding that paragraph at the end, and we need XYZ, just start with a blank sheet of paper. What do you actually just need? And when you write it that way, you'll find you don't need 25 years of COBOL experience in order to be able to go operate this new website. You need specific things. So one of the findings we found and we helped amplify was starting with that blank sheet of paper with a job rec. When you do that, you start to say, okay, here's what I need. Now, can I find that at a community college just as easily as I could have, when I'm not finding it from a 4-year? Or can I find that in a job training program? Or can I find that from on-the-job experience, especially if they were in the military or some of these other programs where they were apprentices and worked their way up? Those are the kinds of easy tricks that everybody can start implementing today as we work together collectively going forward. There's a lot going on in cyber education. We were thrilled to learn so much from each other at the National Cyber Moonshot workshop because we didn't know what was going on in a county in Texas in their K-12 program. That was really, life-changing for the students that are in that program in that one county in America. That now other counties, we had people from other states saying, "Hey, can I connect to you and try and copy that program and bring it up here?" So there is a lot of really good, positive innovation. It was a very positive message coming out. We're about to publish our proceedings by mid-November. That'll be open to everybody at nationalcybermoonshot.com. Anyone will be able to download it from there. And then that workshop will continue on, and we'll be matching up, groups that wanted to work together and collaborate. We're launching a share program for that as well. So a lot of real positive efforts going forward in cyber education. Apprenticeship that you just heard of was one, but there's lots more, and that's we've got to find them and help them and grow them and amplify them and connect them. And that's one of the things that reasons I love spending time at the CFF, because you guys do that on a global scale, and it's really important.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom. I think this is very informative. We continue to partner with each other. The work that you're doing with Cyber Moonshot program and the direct influence of that and the knowledge we are gaining from that is just immense. Will continue to help us sharpen our pencils and go in the right direction. So thank you. Let me move to Nasir and Dr. Mehman. As a career acquisition researcher, and you've also have had administrative responsibilities, especially getting into COVID. We talked about how it quickly turned the whole online program on fire, right? So I'd love to get your thoughts on how do we get to address this need collectively, and how can universities partner with the industry and community colleges to bring to fruition? Because I know institutions such as yours, NYU, and others who have been on this journey before have learned in a very tough way to keep the capacity in the supply up, right? But you also have a big picture view of supporting research and education that is long term. So how do we balance that? And your thoughts, sir?
Sure. So I think, can you hear me? Because I kind of switched to a phone and I'm using headphones now. Mukta said you could hear me. Yeah. Okay. I hope it's better now. So this online thing, in some sense, has been, I hate to use the word, like a benefit to some things that we do, right? In the sense that for a long time we did understand that digitization, once you digitize content, you're able to provide scale, you're able to provide affordability, you're able to provide better learning, right? Better learning in the sense of designing learning with modern pedagogical techniques like active learning, adaptive learning, repetition learning, mastery learning, etc. And one can sort of bring them into your online learning experience that you provide, right? And there's always been one of these sort of the mindset. It had been changing in this country, but in many other countries, the mindset has been online is where you essentially get poor quality education. You're sitting in your pajamas in a bedroom staring at a monitor and you get a course, right? So, but that's not what education should be, right? Education is not about simply going through 10 courses, even no matter how well designed they are. So I think what universities who tend to be very siloed, right? And we're trying to break that mold, need to work with industry. If we are going to solve this talent problem, cyber talent problem, academia cannot do it alone, industry cannot do it alone. I think we need to work together. And so what things like Mukta talked about, sort of the bridging of the two using apprenticeships and things of that sort, to actually even bring new dimensions, right, to the whole sort of community that one can build. So they have to work together. The way higher ed is structured in this country, you cannot tell a professor what to teach in class. I may be the vice dean, but there's absolutely nothing I can do to say, hey, use this particular, whatever, professor decides what's taught in the class. I'm exaggerating a bit, but kind of. And so the way to work with industry is perhaps bring them in out of the curriculum, bring them in through these apprenticeships, internships, and things of that sort, whereby, and I think that's been successful. And also, somehow we have this situation in our country where we have tier one universities, right, who are focused on research and advancing knowledge, and all that needs to be done. Yes, great, because we are thinking of tomorrow's problem. But what about today's problems, right? So, and also there are these elite universities, right, that are insanely expensive. And who's going to kind of address workforce development for the needy, right? Who's going to do that? And what Chandana does at LaGuardia, for example, is really something I admire. And we need to work together to do that. And I think I'm coming back to the digitization part. I mean, I cannot admit more than 50 students, whatever, 100 or 200 students in my master's in cybersecurity program on campus because space in New York City is expensive. Where will I put them in the classroom, right? But once I digitize things, I can put 5,000, right? As long as I can maintain quality. So I think working universities have, if universities should exploit or take advantage of this trend of digital education now that is forced upon them due to the situation to see how to use it best, to work with community colleges, to work with colleges that have different populations of students than themselves, right? Work with the industry and bring affordable and scalable programs to bear on this problem, right? So I don't know if I answered your question fully, but it was a long question, Val.
Okay. All right. Great.
And to
So,
make a point on automation, the earlier question that you asked, right? I of course I'm in academia. What do I know about what happens in the real world? But I do talk to friends in the industry, right? So I was talking to Phil Venables and Jim Rout, right, who are using automation a lot in what they do. And so Phil kind of says that you need automation. Security is about controls, designing controls, and you need to automate monitoring of these controls, right? And Jim tries to take it one more level further, that based on these controls, you can automatically correct, you can automatically stop someone, you can automatically stop an attack. And yes, this is partially true, but I think you cannot automate your way out of this cybersecurity problem. I think the AI and machine learning models that we're talking about that could benefit, that we could use for automation, they're very opaque, they're very sort of, they are black boxes. And as Tom pointed out earlier, when you're doing forensics analysis, one mistake can take you totally off the wrong track, right? I mean, it's so I think humans are needed, but what might happen, and it's a little bit disconcerting to say that perhaps the lower skill jobs will get automated. Probably some of the process control, audit kind of jobs could potentially get automated more. But the higher skill jobs, I don't think can be automated. I could be wrong, but I think you need people. You need cyber ninjas, as Tom said, right? You need really highly qualified people to defend and protect, because after all, there's an adversary involved, and adversary knows exactly what you're doing. They're not stupid, right? And they will find the right spot to defeat you, and you need agile people as well who are able to counter these adversaries. So I think you need people. Uh, Let me stop there, sir.
well, that's I think it is ending in a good note that we need people. We always need people, and that's how humanity progresses from one problem to the other. Of we find the
Cybersecurity,
main
yes.
problems, we automate them, and then get past and move on to the new things. So great. In the next the last few minutes we got, the 3 minutes I would say. Any specific asks, Mukta? I'll turn to you. Any specific asks you have to the industry, to our audience here, and also to our sponsors and partners that you could help you in this journey?
I have a laundry list. How much time do I have?
You got your
But,
this is the elevator pitch time. 30
okay,
seconds.
so I'll limit it to three. I was always trained at McKinsey to only talk about three things, but I would say the first thing is we would love, input in terms of being able to, especially with this changing field, being able to identify those key skills that are needed, like, right now, as well as on a relatively sort of frequent basis. Like, so ideally, we'd like to be able to build this sort of occupation skill map that is relatively refreshed relatively frequently, and it's basically brings a little bit more of a common knowledge and common language around the needed skills. The second is I would love to be able to get help in terms of building out the curriculum pieces, right? So as I said before, we have very limited, we have no pride or no interest in sort of owning and creating our, our own piece. We are very open and willing and wanting to partner with as many institutions and organizations as possible. So any of the folks that have created training programs within their companies, I know, Tom, you birthed this program at UNICEF a while back. So, I mean, any curriculum components that you have, any of the university partnerships or community college partnerships that we have, what we'd like to do is we do have a learning management system that we would like to be able to start plugging in. Either sort of relatively inexpensive sort of, curriculum pieces. So it's something that we can scale. And of course, you can have more customized, additional trainings on top of that. But we'd like to be able to build that foundation, and we would welcome contributions to that pool from, any of organizations or industries that are there. Thank you, Tom. And then the third ask I would have is obviously from the employers, like if you're able to share your hiring needs over the next year, even your reskilling needs over the next year, because what we would like to do is essentially say, okay, you are looking for folks with this skill set. This is sort of the curriculum that is most interesting. This is how sort of we pull that together. We provide the mentoring program. We recruit the students because we are simultaneously recruiting and building that pipeline. And what we would like to do is really play that sort of connector role and quality role and making sure it's constantly relevant. But work in partnerships with existing institutions. Like if you already have, a program that's fantastic, that's focused on one component, like we'd like to figure out a way to sort of bring that into the fold rather than creating everything from scratch, which, is of course expensive and also not sustainable. So those are my three asks, just, helping us defining the key skills, helping us with building out the curriculum pieces, and of course, reaching out to us if you want to sign up for having apprenticeships in your company or your program.
Excellent. Thank you, Mukta, and thanks everyone. I think this is the first session and one of the most important topics. A great kickoff, a great collaboration in terms of the different stakeholders here, bringing the voice of the community, bringing the voice of academia, the industry, and the collective voice that Tom represents in terms of the Cybersecurity Moonshot program. We will continue to engage with you. And again, I'm not shy of asking for help. This is where I really need help for us to make this program successful. If we are able to establish this program in the US, I think we can have the larger global trusted talent repository we're trying to build, and the talent ecosystem we're going to build is definitely going to be held. But the US DOL has taken, I think, the front and role in here. And we definitely want to make this thing successful. So thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us for this session. We will quickly transition into the next session of ours. Is going to be the Cyber Israel Hour. And it's an intense session. And I kid you not, this is 12, some of the most brightest and best technologists and entrepreneurs, as well as leaders, coming together under the direction of Dr. Yaniv Harel, one of our good friends who's spearheading the work of CFF in Israel. So we will tune out of here. In the next 3 minutes, we will meet you at the top of the hour with our friend from Israel. Thank you again, and see you in the next session.
Thank you.